church wasn't even on my mind when I came out. I wasn't even thinking about church. I only went to church that day because my sister asked me to go to church, because she had asked me to come. And I believe that decision is what saved my life and it started me on a trajectory to where I'm at now. Yeah. You're now rocking with Grown Man Talk with Quasi the Artist. First of all, I want to shout out everybody that's been tuning in with me these past few episodes, man. I want to say, I appreciate everyone tuning in, you know what I mean? I truly do. I've been getting a lot of great feedback about it. A lot of people been hitting me up. People that I wouldn't even have thought would be hitting me up, be paying attention. They like, yo, man, I was riding listening to your podcast the other day in the car. And I think that's really dope, man. So shouts out to y'all, yo. I'm not sure if everyone knows. Well, if you've been tuning in and rocking out with me for, over the past few years, but a lot of the beats selection that I have on my podcast playing, this is all original beats that I created. All original beats. Somebody asked me, yo, where you get your music from for your podcast? I produced it. I arranged it. I hooked it all up. This one that's playing now is Still Dreaming. If you've seen the animated video I did, which is epic. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. But this is the beat off the All Praises Due album. And I'm just gonna use a lot of my production, moving out while I'm moving. So yeah. And if you hear anything particular that you may like, or may say, yo, man, I like that beat, I need that beat, let's figure it out. Money talks. Money talks. So yeah. And if I ain't already rapped over it, if it's open and I don't have no song to it, meaning like if I didn't release it, because if I still got music in the tuck that I haven't released, but if I didn't rap over it already, then money talks and you can get it. Episode 3, Survivalist. I want to talk about how since I was younger, people used to always tell me I had a survivalist mentality. And I think that's because that's how, life conditioned me to be. I think I was conditioned to be a survivalist. I was conditioned to have to figure things out on my own, man, and how to maintain, how to keep on going. Just by me being out here in Pennsylvania was, I was at that particular time, I was in survival mode. I was in straight survival mode. I was living in the projects in the Bronx, Patterson projects, on Morris side, 144th and Morris. And things wasn't peachy and cream, man, so to speak. My mind state, I was just wilding. I was just in pure survival mode. We was actually going to war over drug sales, over territory that we didn't own. You know what I mean? We was just like, ain't nobody selling drugs over here if we ain't selling no drugs over here. And we was getting into altercations. We was bugging. I remember one of my homies, he was born and raised in he lived in Patterson his whole life until he went through something and he moved out. But he lived there his whole life. So I remember one time somebody told him, yo, you can't sell drugs in front of this building no more. And I was more mad. I was more mad for him than he was mad himself. I was like, yo, cuz, you've been here your whole life. How you gonna let somebody tell you you can't sell drugs in front of this building? This is your building, right? And we went to war over that. One of them, I had a lot of surrogate mothers growing up because, you know, my mother passed away when I was young. I didn't have my mother, so I had a lot of surrogate mothers. One of my father's closest friends was like she was like a mother to me too. Her name is Patsy. Shout out to Patsy. Patsy's still down there in Patterson too. Same apartment and everything, right? So I remember we got into something. Actually, we didn't even get into it. The trouble found us. It found us. And we came out the building and we was out there in front of the building. And she was like, yo, trying to break it up. She was like, nah, chill. Y'all gotta stop. Y'all gotta chill out. Y'all need to stop. And my cousin Wes came out the building with strapped up, pulled the hammer out right in front of Patsy. That's her grandson. That's her grandson. Her grandson put the strap out right in front of her. And she was like, no. And for whatever reason, I don't know what happened, she blamed me for it. I took the blame for that. And she was like, you can't be over here with that. You know, you showing them things that they don't know nothing about. And I'm saying to myself, she used to always be like, oh, my grandsons can't do this. My grandsons ain't ready for that. And I used to be thinking, Patsy, you don't know, your grandsons they got the seat in the hood. What are you talking about? This is their hood. The hood is under them. The hood answer them. Wes is he's on the top of the chain in the hood. What are you talking about? Nah, I be showing your grandsons this, that, and the third. Right, so fast forward, I ran into my cousin Danny. My father helped raise Danny. Danny's mother and my father was best friends. Their whole life, they was best friends. And Danny, I ran into her one day walking down the street from the projects to the store. I bumped into her. And she was like, oh my God. She was like, I just had a dream about your father. Danny's God, she don't even know that God's blessed her with the gift of dreams, because she's always having dreams about certain things and she's able to interpret them. You know, she was like, oh my God, I just had a dream about your father. And it's funny that I should see you today. Right? And so Danny was telling me that in her dream, my father had on a brown suit. Now, Danny didn't go to my father's funeral. I don't know what happened, but she didn't go. I don't know if she just didn't. She just couldn't bear it, but she didn't go. And it's crazy because my father died in the same hospital that Danny's mother died in, Miss Sandy. And every time we used to drive past that hospital or go past that hospital, whatever, my father used to say, man, I hate that hospital. I hate that hospital, man. They let my best friend die. And come to find out, he died in there too. But in St. Barnabas in the Bronx. But she was like, yo, your father came to me in a dream. He had on a brown suit and he was telling me, go get Quasar, go get him. He's about to get in trouble. Go get him. And it was crazy that we bumped into her right after we had this altercation in front of the building. It was hot in the hood. So she was like, yo, won't you get together with Damon? Damon's out of town in PA. Won't you get together with him? And I was, you know, I hadn't seen Damon in a while. And since I was a little kid, Damon was always on the road out of town getting money. That was his thing. I remember I was a little kid. Damon showed me my first gun. He almost shot his brother Alexis with it. I was a little kid. But I remember Damon used to come back from out of town and he always had money. I just knew Damon to always have money in his pocket. She was like, yeah, won't you get together with Damon, man? He out of town in PA. Y'all should link up. And she gave me his number. And I remember we was in the crib one day and we was just, you know, just in the crib doing what we do, which is nothing. We was just smoking weed and drinking 40s. We was young with nothing to do, just young drinking 40s, bagging up. I think we was bagging up, and he called me, and he called my phone, my cell phone at the time, and he was like, "Yo, this Quasar?" And I was like, "Yeah, what up?" And it was good, what's cracking? He was like, "Yo, I'm in the hood. Danny told me she ran into you. I'm about to pull up on you." Bet. He was like, "Yo, meet me in front of the building." So I was like, "All right, bet." I go outside. I'm in front of the building, And then he pulled up in a truck. I didn't know this truck. I never seen this truck before. It was parked in front of the building, and I didn't recognize him because when I last saw Damon, he was like skinny or whatever, you know what I mean? But then he got older, so he put on some weight. So I didn't recognize he was standing in front of the building. I mean, in front of the truck, but the truck was parked not far from in front of the building. So, you know, I'm strapped up because at this time, we at war right now. So I'm looking, I'm like, yo, who that? And so he called my phone, was like, yo, Quasa, that's you in front of the building? I'm like, yeah. He was like, don't shoot, cuz, don't shoot. You look like you look like you about to do something to me. And I'm like, nah. So he was talking and all that. I had told him in the crib, I didn't tell him what my plans was. I was like, yo, I'm gonna go to the store, grab a Dutch. I'm gonna go grab a Dutch from the store. So I went and grabbed the Dutch, but I never came back to the crib. I just stood in front of the building. So I was in front of him, he came and he was like, yo, I'm out of town. I got a town right now in PA. It's doing $100 a gram. Won't you come out here? So I showed him what I was working with. He was like, nah, you bugging. He was like, you bugging. What is this crumb? These is crumbs. What are you doing, man? He's like, yo, come out of town with me. So we got to talking. And he was telling me about the person he had out here that was doing stuff for him or whatever. So he was just like, you know, he's stealing. And I need you to handle that for me. You know what I'm saying? If you handle that for me, I throw you a bag, you know what I'm saying, and you just come back to the projects, you know, nobody know you out there, whatever. So I was like, all right, bet, say no more. So that night, we went uptown to the Bronx to where he was at, and then we jumped on the highway, came right out here to PA. I didn't know that decision was gonna be ultimately I don't want to say the rest of my life because I'm still building, but the next 20 years of my life. I didn't know that decision was going to be the next 20 years of my life, because that was 2003. Yeah, it was 2003, and we in 2022, so that was going to be the next 20 years of my life. So he came out here, and his man that he had hustling from, he had a tracheal tube in his throat. He had throat cancer, and he was getting high. He was stealing work. He was getting high because he had gave up on life because he had the cancer. So he was just getting high, and he was like, bet he wanted me to leave him. And I don't know what they had a conversation about something. I don't know. They had a conversation one night. The night it was supposed to actually go down, they had a conversation. Damon pulled me to the side, was like, yo, don't even worry about it, yo. Don't even, because in my mind, I was preparing myself. I was going to do this. I was like, yeah, I'm at that point in my life where it's time for me to put some work in. So I'm like, yo, I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? And he was like, yo, don't even worry about it. Let's just get some money. You out here, just make some money. You know what I'm saying? And I was out here grinding. And I went back to the projects. I want to say about a month later, I went back to the projects, and that was lit. I was trying to tell everybody, yo, come out of town. When we come out of town, and nobody wanted to leave the projects. Everybody wanted to stay in the projects. Nobody wanted to come out of, nah, man, we ain't going out of town. We just want to stay here. We got, you know. So I was just like, whatever, out. And I came back out here. And I remember when I came to the projects, I had a videotape of my father singing. I got a copy now, but I had got one of the original copies of my father singing. I had my father singing, my birth certificate, all kind of stuff. And I put it in a plastic bag, and I got in the car. With Damon, and I had forgot it in the car. I forgot the bag in the car. We got dropped off out here in PA. I ain't gonna get too many names, because, you know, some people still out here moving and grooving, but this person who had the car, he went back to New York that night, and his car got shot up. somebody shot his car up, and I was never able to get this stuff. I wasn't able to get my birth certificate. I wasn't able to get my father's tape. I had some other things in there, like pictures and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I just lost a whole bunch of stuff that was important, man. And it was just like, yo, I gotta figure this out, yo. I gotta figure this out. But little did I know that God had me on a mission coming out here, because yo, my life changed completely while I was out here, man. I mean, it started gradually changing. It started gradually changing when I was out here. Like, before I came out here, 2 months prior to me coming out here, that's when I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And I believe that decision is what saved my life. That decision is what saved my life. I was in my sister Dina church, and her husband, God bless her dead, her husband Claude was a preacher, and he was giving the word. And I remember I didn't want to hear none of that, but when he was talking, it felt like he was talking to me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm at that particular time, man, I'm in the projects and we wilding for respect. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what's going on, but to accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, it was a life-changing event, man. And when I came out here to Pennsylvania, I almost lost my life too. About a week after I came out here, they had I used to go on solo missions and go on my own way, man. I was just turned 21, and I wasn't in the bars. I never did the bar thing in New York, man. I come out here and everybody's doing bars. I was used to drinking on the block. Nobody drunk on the block out here when I first came out here. You know, public intoxication, that's a charge, right? So everybody goes to the bar. So I was in the bar drinking, and somebody had dropped a Mickey in my drink. I had stepped away from my drink to go hit a lick, and somebody dropped something in my drink. And the person they sent to come look for me was like, yo, I just saw True, because you know, when you go out of town, you got different names, different aliases. I had been out of town many different places before, but I had never been to PA. So when I came to PA, I called myself True. Everybody was calling me True. She was like, yo, I just saw True. I think they was throwing him in the trunk because we was hitting licks out of somebody's spot. And she thought they threw me in she thought they beat me up and threw me in the trunk. So she went back and told Damon and everybody. She was like, yo, you know, I just saw True get thrown in the trunk by these dudes. So Damon made a couple phone calls to New York. His brother Messiah was back in the days, Messiah was somebody in New York. He was somebody. And he changed his life around completely too. But Messiah was like, yo, you got a couple of hours to find him while I'm coming out there. But they didn't know that when they slipped the Mickey in my drink, I got into a fight with the police. I was wilding, I was spitting on the police, and I was going through it. Playing the tape back, I realized that the devil was trying to lead me to my death that night, because they obviously caught wreck on somebody that night, and the intention was probably for me. It was probably for me, but the Lord, for whatever reason, he saved me from that. I went to jail for fighting with the police. I had spit on the cops. I was bugging out right there on the corner of 10th and Liberty. The bar used to be called the 10th Street Lounge. Fast forward to this past summer, we out there from the church that I go to. We out there on that corner on 10th and Liberty doing testimonial services, and it hit me that I was sitting there that wow, around this same time 19 years ago, I was on this corner right here going through it. I was on this corner going through it, and I didn't even fathom or begin to think that 19 years later, I'll be on this corner attending church service, praising God, sharing, my testimony or preaching a word to people, man. It was really a humbling thing, like the way God works, man, because church wasn't even on my mind when I came out. I wasn't even thinking about church. I only went to church that day because my sister asked me to go to church, because she had asked me to come. And I believe that decision is what saved my life and it started me on a trajectory to where I'm at now. And it's really like, man, just look at God, man. Just look at God. And with that survivalist mentality is what led me here. And then I think about the dream that my cousin Danny said she had, that my father told her in a dream, yo, he's about to get in trouble. Go get my son. Go get Quasa. That was crazy. And I received it in my spirit because she was like, he had on a brown suit, and that caught my attention because she didn't go to my father's funeral, and he did have on a brown suit in his casket. So when she told me that, I was just like, man, listen, man, this is real. This is real. So if I wouldn't have made that decision that day, yeah, I came out here for different intentions. My intentions when I came out here weren't pure at all, but God still had a plan. God could still work in spite of, you know what I'm saying? Yo, man. And it's like, really, like, I think back to where my life could have been if I would have stayed in those projects. You know what I mean? Because I was a lost cause at that particular time in my life. I didn't care about nothing. I didn't care about nobody. I cared about self. There was an old guy that lived in the project that lived in my building. I forgot his name, but this old dude lived in the building. Every time he used to see me, he used to say, oh, there goes the neighborhood. Oh, there goes the neighborhood. This guy's around. There goes the neighborhood. And I asked him, I said, yo, why you? Because before I moved to those projects, I lived uptown in the projects on Washington Avenue, on 169th and Washington, in the Bronx. And that's my brother. So my brother was from over there. So, when people be talking to her, yo, where you from? So I'd be like, yo, I used to live on 169. So he was like, yo, you from Washington Avenue? Because that hood is bad. They call that hood is bad up there. They call it the rough. It's just crazy. It's bad. And they was just like, yo, he was like, you from Washington? Like, every time after that, he used to see me, he's up. There goes the neighborhood. He over here with his Washington Avenue mess. And then he saw me with my brother, God bless his dead, my older brother DeMarco, who passed away a year before my son was born. But my brother DeMarco was over there with me one day, and he saw me with DeMarco, and he was just like real leery when he saw me with him. And I asked DeMarco, I said, yo, why he acting like that? Why every time he see me, he always say there goes the neighborhood, and he like go the other way, and he was like, yo, I pistol whipped him up on Washington Avenue one time. And I was like, when he found out that was my brother, he got really scared of me and stuff for whatever reason. But I guess my brother did whatever he did to him. But he was like, yeah, but when I first came out here to Pennsylvania, man, I came out here with the mentality like I was still in New York, like I was still in the projects and I could do whatever I wanted to do. And Pennsylvania humbled me a lot, man, because they don't play, man. They lock you up for everything, man. You get locked up for everything out here. And I had to learn that the hard way, man. Coming out here, man. And what made me stay out here was because when I was in New York, I was couch surfing. I was bouncing from project to project, couch to couch, whatever, And when I first came out here, the spot I was staying at was a house. I was renting a house for $400 a month. So in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm up. $400 a month, I'm up. You know what I mean? And it was just, my intention was to never stay out here. That's how I know it's God, because my intentions was never to stay out here. My plan was to come out here, get some money, go back to the city, and keep doing that, keep going back and forth. I had been to Maryland hustling. I had been upstate New York hustling. I have been different places, man. Syracuse, Albany, and never did I ever think that I would, like, you don't, when you in New York and you go out of town, the plan is never to stay. You don't go out of town and get comfortable. You don't go out of town and stay and find residence, start getting mail out there. I started doing all of that. Out here, and I think it was because it was a lot slower pace for me, and it was just like I could operate, I could move. In the city, I was operating and moving, but I had to, you gotta be a wolf. And I was a wolf, and I truly believed that was going to lead me to my grave. I was going because I didn't fear nothing. I was all over the place, all the boroughs, every different hood, projects, and moving like I could just move like that. Eventually people get tired of you. Somebody gonna get tired of you, and that's just the reality of it, yo. So yeah, man, I was a survivalist, man, but being a survivalist is what led me to being a spiritualist with the Lord, to walking with God, man. And I didn't expect my life to be where it's at today. So I just want to encourage anybody who might have a survivalist mentality right now, wherever they at in their life, man, that lean on the Lord, trust God, man, because it's what got me through, man. And I didn't even expect this. This ain't nothing that I expected to do. This ain't nothing that I intended to do in my life one day. Like I said, yo, or that's just the way the cards fell. That's just the way it fell. So yo, man, I want to thank everybody for tuning in this episode. It's been real, yo, shout out to everybody that's rocking with me on this podcast. You don't understand, I can't stress that enough, yo. I need to keep getting these views up. Just tell a friend, tell somebody about this, man. Yeah, man. This is Quay City Artist. Just grown man talk. Peace.